Hey guys, I just want to quickly say that I'm super frustrated. I've tried filming this twice now on my camera and for some reason there's recovering issue with the data or something. I don't know. Anyway, so today's video is going to be a follow-up to my last video in regards to Damien and the school and how he's doing with that and the bullying. I just want to thank each and every one of you that commented and left a huge write-up. I know how much time and effort it takes to pour your heart and soul into a comment like that, and I am so sorry, but I'm not going to be able to get back to each and every one of you specifically. I did go through and read each and every comment, and I just want to say thank you. I read them all, and I appreciate it so much, and I loved reading all your stories, and sadly, some of you going through or went through the same things, and I feel you. So let's get on to why I'm here. I wanted to touch on all of the comments and questions that I got on that video and answer them today here. So let's start off by, someone had mentioned about kids' ability. I believe that's kind of like a children's center without doing my own research. By the comment, that's what I just assumed. So if you're talking about a children's center type place with therapists and pediatricians and stuff like that, we do have one of those here. It's about 40 minutes away, and Michaela was definitely a part of that children's center, and Damien is also a part of that children's center. He is a patient there. So they do physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and I can't remember, I know there's many other things, pediatrician and stuff like that. He is enrolled into that center, so I can literally call and say, hey, can we have an appointment for such and such? They have been involved with Damien pretty much since he started school. When he started school, I said I wanted any type of therapy that he could get. I wanted school counseling. I wanted him to have any type of support that he could get, and they managed to keep him in those programs for the time being. So with that being said, they are affiliated with the school. They are two separate companies and entities and all that, but they do come into the school when need be, and they have assessed Damien, and they are the ones that actually have said, no, he does not need an assessment for ADHD or autism. He does not even fall into that category of needing to be assessed. So I felt confident in our children's center to give us the right information. That doesn't mean that I can go and then get another pediatrician's opinion. However, our family doctor has also stated that don't worry about it, Damien's just fine. He just learns differently, and that's fine because every single person learns differently. Our issue is that the school does not like to teach the way Damien needs to learn, if that makes sense. So there are things in place to hopefully help with that, and we are working on getting this under control. But the Children's Center has also done assessments, and they have, along with his IEP, I got the question about chewing and gum and fidget toys. Damien does have gum at his in his classroom at all times with the teacher that he has access to. We send him gum. We also have purchased chewing necklaces. We started off by buying like the cheap ones off of Amazon. They did not last at all. So I actually moved to what was called, I believe, Munchables chewing necklaces, and then they have like pencil toppers and stuff like that. Damien really liked those ones because they were more dense and hard, and they didn't like fall apart or break apart in his mouth as easily. So he did like those. He is allowed fidgets. I think they have to be like approved by his teacher, so he can't just bring any type of toy into class, which is completely fair, but he is allowed, you know, stress toys and stuff like that. And then also the Children's Center did note and purchased for him a weighted vest as well as a weighted animal. So the weighted animal sits on his lap and helps him stay focused and not to move around as much. There's also things like a wobble chair and also they did purchase a laptop for him. Now the laptop, every child in the school I believe got a laptop this year, so it's kind of nice because it doesn't single out Damien, but also too, like, if they're all using them, then is it really, you know, a benefit for Damien if everybody's just using them? You know, everybody's gonna learn the same, and everybody's gonna learn differently, and if Damien's here with no laptop, everybody else is here with no laptop, and then Damien gets a laptop, is up to this level, and then everybody is at this level again anyways. So it's kind of, I mean, as long as it helps Damien, that is my #1 concern. And I haven't had much feedback yet as to how the laptop has worked this year, because I believe they got them a couple months in this year. So I'm looking forward to knowing about that. Moving on, sorry, I just have a list here if I keep looking at it. Have I considered becoming an EA? I did go to school for an ECE. I started the program after Michaela was born. I believe she was almost 2 years old when I was enrolled. And that is also when her G-tube came about and she was going through a lot. And I found that I just couldn't continue on to become an ECE because it was just too much at the time for me, but also when we were enrolled in that program, shortly after, we were told that only 2% of the people that enroll in that program actually graduate and become an ECE. That was a huge red flag for most of my classmates and I, and we knew it because of the way they were teaching and the way the program ran. It was just not a healthy school program, and they didn't help the students learn and be successful, if that makes sense. I just know that for me it wasn't the right fit, and at the time I really thought about if I could become an ECE and look after Michaela at the same time, and that just wasn't feasible. So I did end up getting out of the program, luckily, because I was still in the amount of time that I could receive all my money back. That was great, and it worked out for the best. EA, I'm not sure if that's the exact same program or not. I still think it's probably not the best fit for me specifically in my career-wise. I'm not sure that that's something that I want to pursue, and I don't think it would benefit Damien at all. Obviously, there would be a conflict of interest there if I was to become his EA. One, we have such a shortage of EAs, but not only that, our schools are not hiring EAs, and they're actually getting rid of them because of funding and stuff like that. So the job pool is not very good as well, I don't believe. There's only one school in our area, the next one is about 20 minutes away, and then from there on out, it's like 40 minutes and up. So I don't think becoming an EA would help me or Damien at this time. I do believe that there are EAs out there that are looking for jobs and could use jobs. Our school board is just not hiring them or keeping them at the schools, because the kids do definitely benefit from them. All right, so that kind of answers that question, and I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but I am going to touch on one last thing, and that is the bullying. And I am so sorry that a lot of you have had the same thing happen to your kids, or, you know, as a child you were bullied. And I will just say that I also, as a child, was bullied right up until high school. I mean, right up until the point I got pregnant with Michaela, I was bullied as a kid. And I personally was never the kid to fight back, just like Damien. I kept my mouth shut. My parents always tried to, you know, inform the school and get the board involved and stuff like that, and nothing ever happened until the day I had to take something into my own hands. I was smacked as a kid on the bus. I was teased. I was bullied. I was called names. Everything up until high school. And it wasn't until my grade 10 year? I think it was my grade 10 year, and there was a girl, actually a couple girls, that would bully me on the bus every single night. And I specifically went into the principal and said, you need to stop this before I do. And I gave them every opportunity to do something about these bullies, and they did not. Finally, the one girl ended up walking up behind my seat on the bus, poured water on my head, and I said, no, not today. So we ended up in a physical fight. All of the history and the bus driver and everything, it all led to the bully actually being suspended for 21 days. I was suspended for 3 days just because I was in a physical altercation, so they had no choice. But I left in a cop car. The police officer brought me home, and the other girl did leave in an ambulance. I still know that girl today, and even after that, we ended up sitting on the bus together, and you know, everything was pretty calm, cool, collected. I see her with her kids now. We go to soccer together. You know, our kids are in the same school, so everything's okay now. But at the time, it was my world. Like, I was bullied every single day, and I'm so sad that Damien has to go through that. But I also know that Damien's gonna become such a strong and independent person because of everything he's going through right now. I do not take physical abuse very lightly, and I will definitely make sure that my child is never hurt with a concussion ever again. I mean, even if it does happen, there will definitely be police involved in that type of thing. And sadly, I've heard many stories from our school that they've had to contact police just in order to get the principal to deal with this type of thing. Luckily, we have a parent council meeting tonight, and I do want to bring up this whole bullying issue in the school because I feel like it is not being dealt with. And like I said in my last video, I still hadn't heard from his principal in regards to the last issue. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I know it's hard for Damien right now, and it's going to be hard probably the rest of his school career. I feel like I wish I could homeschool Damien. I just don't know if it's the right fit for him. Okay, just future editing Tiffany here. I forgot to mention after the third time of recording this video about the homeschooling. Let me take this out. When COVID hit and we had to do the at-home online learning with Damien, it was really, Bubby? It was quite the struggle. He does not like to learn. Damien does not like to learn under our authority, if that makes sense. We find that he learns much better under someone else, like a teacher or EA or instructor that is not us. Sadly, it was quite the struggle when we had to do online learning, and I actually gave up, I think, 2 weeks in. Damien would get frustrated, and I tried my best to teach him best I could with the curriculum, with the teacher's help. And at the end of 2 weeks, I basically said, like, I can't do this. I talked to the teacher about it, and we agreed that it just wasn't the right fit for Damien. Mind you, that was how many years ago? Going on 4 years almost. And I don't know if that would change now. I would like to hope that one day I could homeschool Damien. We had hoped after Michaela passed that we could go full-time RVing. Obviously, because of the house, you know, we hadn't chose to do that yet, but also because we feel like Damien needs to be in school, learning in a classroom environment. As much as it's not the absolute best fit for Damien, I don't believe it's the worst fit for Damien either. So there's kind of like that balance of what is best for him at this point in time. I would be hesitant to pull him next year and do homeschooling. I don't know how quickly you can re-enroll them into the public school system after stating that you're going to be homeschooling. I don't know if it's quite the process. So if anybody has any information on homeschooling in Ontario, please let me know in the comments how that kind of all works. I did do a lot of research before Damien started in the public school system when he was young about homeschooling and the type of homeschooling you can do. I know there's something that's called unschooling, where you don't really have to follow the Ontario curriculum and you teach your child as you see fit.
but then also the type where you follow the Ontario curriculum, they learn based off that curriculum. So again, if you have any information on homeschooling in Ontario, please let me know and your thoughts about it. I love that some of you were able to pull your children and homeschool them and you feel like it was the best fit for them and you were so thankful that you did it at the time. Please let me know the background on that and how it all worked, and I love to hear those stories, and I hope that maybe one day Damien could do that, and obviously extracurricular activities so that he has the social aspect.
And also the one thing that really frustrated us, and I say us, I'll explain, but was that Damien was supposed to be in the same classroom as his best friend. The principal actually suggested it because his best friend does stick up for him. They're like a perfect team and they work well together, and for some reason they were not put in the same classroom, and we feel, I actually was just talking with his best friend's mom today, we are going to fight for this next year because even his best friend is struggling, and we feel like because it was the principal's suggestion, it should have happened. And even after they started this year, the principal asked how they were liking being in the same class, and it's like, what are you talking about? They're not in the same class. So we're going to fight for that and make sure that they are in the same class next year. Hopefully that will help. It is already too late in this year. But anyways, that is kind of where we're at. So again, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to read them, answer them in the comments or in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for putting all your input, and I appreciate it so much. We will see you in our next video.